Today's lesson is letter writing, and in this particular lesson we are going to deal with formal letter writing, formal or official letter. Now what is a formal letter? A formal letter is a letter written in a formal language and it is meant only for official purposes. Now these letters are usually written to people that you do not know personally, like the principal of your school or the manager of a company. These are the people that you do not know and therefore they are the formal letters. Now there are certain things that you must keep in mind while writing a formal letter. Look at points to remember. The language of these letters must be polite and to the point. You must not be rude with your language. Okay, be very particular about the way in which you write your formal letters. It should be respectful, it should be polite. But at the same time, it should be to the point. You should not include unnecessary details in your formal letter. Write sir or madam as salutation. When you are beginning your formal letter, do not write respected sir, respected madam, ma'am. These are incorrect way of writing. You will write sir or madam, any one of the both. When you start your letter, you must keep in mind that it should have at least 3 paragraphs, an introduction, a body and a conclusion. The body of the letter can be divided into more than 1 paragraphs. Now let's look at the first part, the introduction part of your letter. The introduction can be a response to an earlier communication. Now there are certain opening lines that are given which will help you with your letter writing. What are these possible lines? Look at the first example given in blue. I wish to bring to your kind attention that, and then you continue this sentence according to the topic given. Okay, so these are the possible ways in which you can begin your letter. Let us take an example. If you are asked to write a letter to the manager of a certain company who has delivered a wrong product to you, how do you start a letter like this? You can start with, I wish to bring to your kind attention that the product that I had received on, then you write the date, was a faulty one. Okay, and then you continue with the introduction, one more sentence, and move on to the body of the letter. Now the body of the letter should contain facts and important information related to the topic. Now if we take the same example, the letter that you are to write to a manager, what should we write in the body of this letter? You can write the day in which you had purchased the product. Let's say you had purchased a laptop. Okay, and the laptop isn't working properly. So in the body of the letter, you can write the day in which you bought the laptop, what was the model of the laptop, which company did it belong to, what were the specifications, how much money did you pay for it. These are the things that you can include in the first paragraph of your body. If you want to divide your body into 2 paragraphs, then in the second paragraph you can write about what were the things that were wrong with the product, which part of the laptop was not working. Okay, what were the difficulties that you faced while working with your laptop? What do you wish the manager to do? These can be the things that you can include in the body of your letter. Then comes your conclusion. Your conclusion should depend on the topic. And here in this slide, you have different ways in which you can end your letter. You can conclude your letter. Look at the examples carefully and choose the one which you find appropriate for your letter. Now going back to the same example, a letter that you are to write to a manager, what can you write in the conclusion part? What do you expect the manager to do? You can either ask for a refund of the amount that you have paid for the laptop, or you can ask the manager to exchange your laptop. Okay, these are the 2 things that you would want the manager to do. So these 2 points must be written in your conclusion. Now if you want the manager to return your money, to refund your money, then what is the mode of payment? You can write that as well. Like, I would want you to refund my money in my bank account. Okay, or you can go to the shop on a particular day and the manager can refund you. So all these details which are important to the letter must be included in your letter. Okay, it is very important. Now coming to the next point, okay, the third last point. After the concluding paragraph, write thanking you. Okay, so thanking you must be written on the left hand margin, and do not forget to use the comma after thanking you. Thanking you, T is in capital, starts with a capital letter, and after you there will be a comma. Then the next point. After this comes the leave taking. Now what do you write in your leave taking after thanking you? You can write two things, either yours truly or yours faithfully. Now yours faithfully is something that you can use for all of your formal letters. So if you are not confident with it, stick to yours faithfully for all of your formal letters. Yours faithfully, comma, don't forget the comma, and then you will write your full name. Okay. Now when you are writing yours, I would like to repeat the same note that I told you in the last letter writing. There is no apostrophe in between yours, okay? Y-O-U-R-S is the correct form, not Y-O-U-R apostrophe S, right? Now the last point is important. When you are writing a letter to the editor, you should not ask the editor to solve your problem. An editor is usually the one who is in charge of the newspaper, right? So when you are asking the editor to post something or to print something in the newspaper, you cannot ask the editor to give a solution to your problem. If you are writing a letter to the police inspector, then you would want the inspector to do something about your problem. If you're writing a letter to the manager, you would want the manager to solve your problem. But when you're writing a letter to the editor, you cannot expect the editor to solve your problem, because that is not what an editor is supposed to do. An editor can only print your article in the paper. So keep in mind that when you're writing a letter to an editor, you can only ask the editor to voice your opinion, means to print your views, suggestions, your articles in the paper. You cannot ask the editor to solve your problem. So do not write sentences like "I wish for you to do this and that" in your letters written to the editors. In this slide, you can see the format of the letter, of a formal letter. And the address, it starts with an address on the left hand margin. Everything is written on the left hand margin. So your address must be minimum 3 lines, followed by the date. Observe there is no comma in between the words. October, B-E-R, that R is missing in this particular format. So keep in mind that R, October, the spelling must be correct. Then we come to the address part. Now how do you write it? If you are writing to the principal of a school, then it should start with the principal. Then the next line, the name of the school, St. Sebastian School, and the next 2 lines will be the address. So when you are writing this part, the recipient's address, the person who is receiving the letter, this part must always begin with the designation. Designation means which post does the person hold. If he is the principal or the manager or the editor or the police inspector, okay. So the designation. Next line is that place of work. Where does that person work? The principal will be the name of the school. For an editor, it will be the name of the newspaper. For an inspector, it will be the name of the police station. For a manager, it will be the name of the company. Okay. So first you will write the designation of the person. The next line will be the place where that person works. And after that, you will write the address of the place. Okay. So designation, name of the place where the person works, and then the address of the place. After that, you are writing sir or madam, then a comma, and then your introduction, body, conclusion. After that, thanking you, yours faithfully, comma, and your full name. Your name and your surname, your first name and your surname, both. We do not write this in an informal letter. In informal, we just write our first name. In formal letters, we write our full name. Right? Now observe the punctuations. When we write the address, it's always comma, 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 full stop. When you're writing your address, you follow the same format. The first line will end with a comma, the second will end with a comma, the last will end with a full stop. Same goes for the address of the recipient. The principal, comma, St. Sebastian School, comma, Seal Lane, comma, Kolkata 15, full stop. Okay, and look at the last part. Thanking you, comma, yours faithfully, comma, your full name, full stop, right? So it always begins with commas and it ends with full stop. The first sample that you can see is a sample of a formal letter written to a police. Now look at the format of this letter carefully. Look at how this letter is written. It will give you a very clear idea of how to write a letter to a police commissioner. Okay, like this letter is written to a commissioner. You can very well have a good understanding of how to write letters written to the police. Next is a sample letter of complaint. Okay, if you have to write a letter of complaint, like the example that I was discussing with you during the points to remember, this is a similar sample. Look at this letter again to have a very good idea of how to write letters like this. Keep in mind that the format of these letters must be correct. Comma, comma, full stop, and no comma in between dates. The months must also be written in the correct spelling. This is another sample of a letter written to an editor. Again, look at the letter carefully. See that there is no solution that you are asking the editor to provide you with. Okay, so this letter you must keep in mind when you are writing to an editor. You should not ask for a solution to your problem. Finally, we have a sample of a letter written to the principal. Now, these are the kind of letters that you usually get. So, these are the simplest forms. Have a look at this and get a very good idea of how to write letters to principal. Now comes your assignment or homework. Okay, in your fair copy, you will copy the format that you had in the third slide. You will copy that format. Remember to correct the spelling of October, that R was missing. So copy the format carefully. Your second homework is to copy the sample letters. I gave you 4 sample letters here, to editor, to police, to principal, to a manager, right? A letter of complaint. So all these 4 sample letters must be written in your classwork copy. And the third homework is to write a letter to the editor of a newspaper to make the public aware of the health hazards due to pollution. What are the problems that the public is facing because of pollution, right? This is your homework, a letter that you must write on your own. The third homework is a letter that you have to write on your own. With this, we come to an end to your formal letter writing lesson. As you already know, you have to choose one out of 2 options, one informal and one formal letter. You will be given in your exam, you have to pick one. Now, formal letter writing, though it seems to be a little difficult, but it actually is very scoring. You can score a lot of marks if you write the format correctly and you include the necessary details in your body of the letter. Okay, so you should be able to pay a little more focus on the body, and eventually you will be able to score very good marks in your formal letters. Now, if you look at the second paragraph of this particular slide, since formal letters are written to officials, we need to be very careful with the language. Your formal letters must never come across as rude. Okay, you cannot write do this or do that. That is a very rude way of writing. Okay, you do not write in a rude manner. Be very polite and courteous with your language. You should not write unnecessary details. For example, if you are writing a letter to the principal of your school asking for leave to attend your sister's wedding, you should not include in your letter what you are going to do at the wedding. Okay, you will only include that I cannot be there in school on so and so date because I'll be attending my sister's wedding. You can also write what is the additional reason, what are the additional reasons for emergency, and that is it. You do not need to write in your formal letter written to the principal about your plans in your sister's wedding. Those are something that you will write in your informal letter, not formal ones. Okay. Now again, as I told you earlier in the previous letter writing session, that you should not spend more than 15 to 20 minutes on letter writing, and while you are practicing your own letter, the homework that I gave you, the third assignment, the third homework, make sure you are able to complete it within 15 to 20 minutes. So time yourself again and see that you do so within time. Okay, all the best.